Welcome to Empowered Health. I'm really excited about today's show, VJ. We have a ton of fascinating stories to share.
I agree, Michelle. Today we are talking about how to improve patient care and outcomes and microwaves. Is there anything we should be worrying about?
All of that and more coming up, but first, let's take a look at another inspiring story of someone who took their health into their own hands.
I truthfully thought it was a little bit far-fetched, but I was intrigued by it.
That's a pretty normal reaction. In fact, that's what most people think when they're told about flotation therapy. But after hearing about it on a podcast, David Nash decided otherwise. He decided to give it a try.
I wanted to try it for stress reduction and just trying to manage tension levels through a pretty stressful career that I have. So
essentially it's like a 4-foot by 8-foot floating area. It's got about 11 inches of water, heated to the temperature of your skin, so it's nice and soothing. And there's about 900 pounds of Epsom salt, or magnesium sulfate, another name for it, dissolved in there. So very, very buoyant. You just effortlessly float to the top.
the very first time I went, I honestly had no idea what to expect. So I went there just open-minded, excited to try it. And they talked a lot about just getting to levels of relaxation that you, even through sleep, you don't hit very often. So I was hoping to just kind of let it all go and feel relaxed afterwards.
So when you're in the float tank, your body and mind are just allowed to let go, essentially, and be free. Every float's different and everyone has their own experience, but you're really just alone with your mind and with your ego.
Research suggests flotation therapy provides a number of benefits. It can be used for pain management, enhancing motor skills, and it even promotes positive thinking. But for David, who has struggled with insomnia in the past, floating has allowed him to get a good night's sleep.
Sleep is such a huge part of feeling re-energized and mental clarity and all the different effects of not having great sleep. And I struggled with sleep before that. Afterwards, I was very calm. I felt at peace of some self-realizations that I'd had. I know that sounds kind of crazy, and then when I went home that night, I slept deeper than I've slept in years, probably since before college even.
Coming up on Empowered Health.
The microwaves are a pretty common tool in the North American kitchen, but they've suffered from a bad reputation.
Welcome back. Microwaves have been a staple in most households for decades now. But is there anything we know from a health perspective that maybe we should be watching out for?
People sometimes say that those with pacemakers should avoid getting too close to a microwave. But is there really any danger? Let's see what Randy Shore has to say. Randy?
Do microwave ovens destroy the vitamins and antioxidants in your vegetables? Yep, they sure do. But so does steaming, boiling, and baking. The microwaves are a pretty common tool in the North American kitchen, but they've suffered from a bad reputation. First, people are afraid of radiation, and they're naturally deeply suspicious of it. But you can relax. The radiation your microwave uses isn't nuclear radiation. It's more like radar waves that excite the water molecules in your food. There's also pretty good evidence that microwave cooking leaves more vitamins intact in your food than other cooking methods. The key factors in vitamin loss are cooking time, shorter is better, and water. Cooking in water leaches away more vitamins than any other cooking method. Steaming uses less water, but might increase your cooking time. And baking takes ages. The question is, how much should you care? Water-soluble vitamins like B and C are leached away by cooking, but there isn't much chance you're deficient in either of those. Plus, cooking with heat breaks down the cellular structure of vegetables, making fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and E available to your body. If you're eating vegetables regularly, you probably don't need to obsess about the cooking method. What should worry you about your microwave is uneven cooking. Food that is not fully heated leaves cool pockets where bacteria can flourish. Hundreds of people are sickened every year by foodborne illness, and microwave ovens are often implicated. Actually, it's not the oven's fault. They vary in power, so suggested cooking times on packaged foods may not be exactly right for your oven. Reheating food without rotating and stirring during the cooking process may leave bugs unkilled in your dinner. I would avoid using the microwave to thaw chicken or ground beef. Any cooking process that stops partway is just too risky. Salmonella from undercooked chicken can make you sick. E. coli from ground beef can kill you. If you're going to trust your microwave to heat raw or packaged prepared foods containing meat, fish, or poultry, make darn sure it's cooked all the way through. And don't use your tongue to check. An instant read thermometer costs only a few dollars, and it could save your life. I'm Randy Shore for Empowered Health.
Your back affects your daily health. Welcome to another installment of Your Spine, Your Health.
Because you have a spine, it's important to understand what chiropractic care means to your health. Your health always starts with a regulatory college. In this case, the College of Chiropractors of BC serves to ensure you receive the appropriate diagnosis and care from a qualified chiropractic doctor today and tomorrow. That's also why BC's chiropractors fund research and education. Today, I want to introduce you to Dr. Andre Boussier, whose work will help increase awareness of evidence and best practice.
We know that in research that's been conducted across the world in medicine, for instance, that there's important gaps between what we know from science or from evidence and what practitioners do in practice. Between 30 to 40% of patients we know do not get the best care. So the evidence is there, but the practitioners are not using them for various reasons.
That's exactly what Dr. Boussier is working on, a standardized approach to treatment to reduce what is called the evidence-practice gap. This work will bring together other studies and trials in an accessible way in order to ultimately improve patient care.
Trials that have been designed to be able to compare one treatment to the other are extremely large in volumes. What we need to do then is to assess all of the evidence and from all of these different approaches that are within the scope of chiropractors. And so then we can compare the different approaches and be able to come up with some recommendation with regard to each approaches individually and combining these different approaches.
It's not just about analyzing data. It's critical to take into account each individual patient and keep them involved in the treatment process.
And there's a strategy called, an approach that's called GRADE that helps us in a very systematic way be able to propose recommendations. And there's an expert panel that will refine the recommendations so this is understandable and palatable both for providers, but also we target patients and decision makers so that the three level of the healthcare group that delivers this service will be able to benefit.
As you can see, it's not just about what we can do for you today. We're working to build a better tomorrow with better health outcomes for you. The College of Chiropractors of BC sets the standards for safety, outcomes, and your informed consent.
Hey guys, my name is Simona Marian and this is Jamie Sonurf. Today we are going to talk about how long your rest period should be in your exercise program for your simple fitness tips.
When performing your exercises in your strength or fitness program, it's important to keep in mind other rest periods in between sets. Rest periods are going to depend on your fitness goals and training style. Alright Simona, I'm going to get you to do the bodyweight push-up. If your goal is to get stronger and build muscle, it's important to keep your rest periods long enough so that you can lift heavier weights for more reps each workout. If you don't have more than an hour a day to work out, it may be wise to keep your rest periods short enough so that you can do more work in less time. For fat loss and overall fitness, I recommend resting about 45 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on the weight used. The shorter the rest periods, the more demand on your cardiovascular system. See you next time.
After the break.
Poor eyesight is in essence garbage in, garbage out, and it affects our ability to make informed decisions.
You're watching Empowered Health. I know a lot of people get bags under their eyes when they don't get enough sleep. But how can lack of sleep affect our physical appearance in other ways?
Well, we have Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, on the show to explain what it means to get your beauty sleep.
Joining me is Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor. Now, we've all heard about a beauty sleep.
Sure.
Is there really such a thing, or is that just kind of a nice thing to say?
It is absolutely real, and everybody can get it every single night. So here's what we know about sleep and how it affects our appearance. So number one, we know that sleep dramatically affects your ability to lose weight, okay? We know that being able to lose weight is very consistent with sleep deprivation. The more sleep deprived you are, the higher your appetite, the more weight you're going to gain. But there's also some more subtle areas that are important for our appearance as well. If you ever look at somebody who's sleep deprived, you know they're sleep deprived,
Yeah,
right?
there's no hiding it, is there?
There's no way to hide that. And here's the couple of things that we know. For example, dark circles under the eyes can be a direct effect of sleep deprivation. Now, don't get me wrong. If your mom had dark circles and your grandma had dark circles, there might be a genetic propensity for that. Also, depending upon your culture, you may have different skin pigment there. However, what we know is this is the thinnest skin in the body. And when blood pools underneath the eye due to lowered circulation from sleep deprivation, that's when we start to see dark circles. Same holds true with puffy eyes. So people who have big puffy bags, what I call under eye baggage, that occurs quite frequently. Again, due to a circulation issue, because the more sleep deprived you are, the more your blood pressure can go up.
So, if that's the case, and you say in the thinnest part of the skin, what about the rest of our rosy complexion? How's that affected by sleep?
Dramatically. So sleep deprivation lowers circulation. When you have lowered circulation, that means that the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, all the things that help us have healthy skin, hair, nails are slower than they should be. So what does that mean? It means paler complexion. It means breakage of the nails, losing hair. Sleep really is beauty sleep. And the stage in which it's the most is stage 3 and 4, what we call deep sleep. And that's where growth hormone is emitted. So growth hormone is this hormone that goes throughout the body and does all the repair work. So again, if you don't have the repair work, what happens? Your entire complexion is affected and you don't get the beauty sleep that you need.
What happens to your hair?
You absolutely can have more hair that falls out. Your hair can become thinner. Without good sleep, you're not getting the nutrients to that whole area of the scalp that's going to be necessary.
Lose the body in your hair. And so it really is a beauty sleep.
It absolutely is a beauty sleep. Now, don't get me wrong, genetics are what genetics are.
Yeah.
Right? And people are going to look a certain way, but why not boost the way that you look or use the materials that you've got to your best advantage?
Thank you very much. Once again, valuable information, and thank you for being a guest here on Empowered Health.
Thank you.
And thank you. We'll see you again. Traffic, sports, a hot beverage. These are the ingredients of life. They are elements that are in motion, and so are you. At each moment, you have to determine exactly where everything is in relation to your body and where your body is going. Internally, you have a sixth sense that knows exactly where every part of your body is, what it's doing, and where it's going. That's great. But that doesn't control the rest of the world. And what the rest of the world is doing is happening so fast, your brain can't keep up.
Well, it's really one of the fundamental problems in perception. The fact that our brains don't work in real time. So it can take up to 1/10 of a second for a signal from the eye to even reach your brain. But the information that gets to the brain is already out of date by the time it is received there in the brain. So if the brain doesn't do something clever and does not compensate for this delay, then that would mean that we would not see what's happening in the world right now, but what happened about 1/10 of a second ago.
And that would mean we'd pour coffee all over the place. We'd get hit by tennis balls, or worse, cars. Luckily, our brains have figured this out.
So the brain needs to take a shortcut, and it does this by making reasonable assumptions about what's happening in the world and then predicting what the most likely situation right now is. So if, for example, I have a tennis ball flying at me and I have seen the speed and the direction of where it's going, then the brain takes this shortcut and says, okay, I know where it's going, so probably right now it's here, rather than where the eyes tell the brain right now where it is.
This is a good thing, but the brain can only make decisions based on the best possible information.
So all the more reason to be sure that your eyesight is the best it can be, because the ability to see, if it is impaired, affects the information that gets to your brain.
About half of our brain actually deals with the input that's coming in from the eyes. And we sometimes like to think of it as a computer that has a camera and then does some processing in the image, but it is a lot more complex because those images are also constantly moving around. We are constantly moving our eyes around. So actually vision is sort of an active way of interacting with the world around us and gathering information that the brain can then use to guide our behavior.
Let's stick with that computer analogy. poor eyesight is in essence garbage in, garbage out, and it affects our ability to make informed decisions. That is another reason why routine eye examinations are so important.
Coming up on Empowered Health.
We're going to do some barbecued shrimp,
Okay.
but we're going to marinate them. We're going to cook a little marinade sauce first and then barbecue them.
This cooking and nutrition portion brought to you by Save On Foods.
Registered holistic nutritionist Julia Olton always has great recipes to share. Let's see what she's got today on the show. Julia, welcome to Empowered Health.
Thank you for having me. We're going to do some barbecued shrimp,
Okay.
but we're going to marinate them. We're going to cook a little marinade sauce first and then barbecue them. So we're going to start off with a little bit of vegetable oil
Okay.
in the pan.
All right.
And we're going to put some rice wine vinegar
Okay. That goes right in.
with it. And then we've got some shallots, and we'll just put those in here as well.
Okay.
And then we've got some lime zest,
That's lime zest. Okay.
and it gives it a nice little
Tangy flavor.
tangy flavor.
Yeah.
And then we've got lime juice as well, so
Okay.
some fresh lime juice.
Right.
And some brown, we need the brown
Brown
sugar.
sugar.
That gives it the sweetness.
Okay. And how much is it?
That's about 1/4 cup.
Okay.
And then we need a little bit of garlic.
Garlic.
This is about two garlic cloves.
2 cloves, yeah?
Yeah. And then how about some hot sauce
Sure.
in here? I would say, I don't know, a teaspoon or 2.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
And then we just need a little bit of salt here.
Is that sea salt? Or
This
that-
is sea salt, yeah.
Okay.
So we just mix this all up and we put it on the burner here and we cook it for about 5 minutes.
Okay.
And then we add
Just to thicken it?
just to thicken it. Yeah,
Okay.
we add a bit of cornstarch to it, and it is thick. Like I'm trying to think, like not Jello, but it does thicken it so that it's not so liquidy.
Okay.
So, with our magic of television,
Right.
we've actually cooked this.
Yeah, this is pre-cooked.
This is pre-cooked.
Right. The same mix was put on the heat for about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
So after it's cooked, you let it cool down,
Mm-hmm.
and you take half of this sauce and you put your shrimp in there and you let them marinate
In half the sauce.
in half the sauce.
Okay.
The other half you keep, and we're going to put that over top once we've served it.
Right. Okay.
Now we're going to take these. These have been sitting in the marinade for probably, I don't know, an hour and a half.
Do
Maybe.
you leave them in the fridge or?
We leave them in the fridge for
Okay.
sure. And then we soak the bamboo skewers. We're going to put them on skewers.
in water, right?
And you just put a bit of lukewarm water in a bowl or a dish that can handle the long skewers, and you
Right.
let them soak. And the reason you do this
Yes.
is when you put it on the barbecue, it's not going to cook. It's not going to light on fire.
Oh yeah. Otherwise, because if it's dry,
If it's dry, it'll
it's gonna
just go
catch
up
on
in flames.
Oh right, right, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to put a few
Good
on
point.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have some already on the barbecue cooking.
Right,
So we'll see how they're doing.
right. And these don't take too long.
No, maximum 6 minutes on the barbecue. You don't want to cook them too much. They just turn pink. You'll see.
Okay. I like recipes that are fast to cook and taste
Fast.
great.
Fast to cook, and what's that? 6 ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is
So
true.
you see the difference here.
Right.
These are uncooked,
And those are
and these are. We're just going to flip them over to the other side,
right.
and you'll see that they've turned okay.
Yeah, they're beginning to change color, and I can
Yeah.
see the pinkish tinge of the color in the shrimp.
So 5-6 minutes on the barbecue,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can taste them. We serve them up with a little bit of rice and vegetables and
Alright.
a little bit of sauce.
All right. Julia's shrimp's got that pink color on either sides, and now it's all done.
It's all done. I served it with a little bit of brown rice and some grilled asparagus. You could serve it with any kind of vegetable and potato or noodles.
Noodles,
or, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the show, Julia, and thank you for this another easy and great recipe.
Thank you for having me.
You can find out more about this recipe on our website and keep watching the show for more great segments. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
If you are watching your cholesterol levels or know someone who does, this segment is going to have some great information for you. Registered dietitian Melissa LeBlanc is with us, and she is going to share some do's and don'ts for those who want to keep their cholesterol levels within limits. Melissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vijay.
So cholesterol, does it all come from food?
Well, not necessarily. And in fact, something that people might not be aware of is that your liver actually produces 80% of the cholesterol in your body.
And the other 20%?
That's more related to food and lifestyle.
Okay. So for somebody who is watching their cholesterol levels and they're concerned about it, what are the recommendations?
Well, the first thing you want to do is get plenty of vegetables and fruit in your diet.
And how much is enough?
So Canada's Food Guide recommends between 7 and 10 servings of vegetables and fruit every day. And it might sound like a lot, but it's not. One serving is only half of a cup, or the size of one medium apple or small orange.
So you can spread it out throughout the day.
Yeah, the key is to including some at each of your meals and your snacks throughout the day, and it's easy to meet that target.
That's true. That way you won't go hungry either.
That's right.
And what's the next step to take?
So the next thing you want to do is making that switch to whole grains more often. So switching from white bread to whole wheat or whole grain bread or whole grain pastas and rice. And the fiber in those foods helps to carry cholesterol out of your body.
Now, for those who have higher cholesterol levels, they should be watchful with their fat intake. What are the recommendations to make sure that the amount of fat that's being consumed is not too much, but not too little?
Right, so focusing on the types of fats too is important. Limiting saturated fats, and saturated fats come from animal sources. So red meats, poultry, you want to limit those, and dairy and milk as well. But you also want to focus on the healthy fats, so avocados, nuts, olive oil.
So those are the good things. Those are the good fats to be included in the diet.
Yes.
How do eggs fit in this into this equation?
Well, I get that question a lot. And with eggs, it's not necessarily the eggs that you want to worry about, but more so how you prepare them and what you serve them with.
Okay, so skip the bacon.
I would skip the bacon and add a fruit cup and a slice of whole grain bread with your breakfast.
Melissa, what about seafood?
Well, seafood is a lean source of protein. It is a little bit higher in cholesterol, so the key is just to limit your portion size and how often you have it.
Well, Melissa, thanks for being on the show and giving us this great information so that we can be careful about our cholesterol. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, that's all for this episode of Empowered Health. As usual, I learned a lot. It's quite an important tip to avoid using a microwave to unthaw meat.
That's true, Michelle. A lot of great information as always on today's show. And I have to say this, Julia's jumbo shrimp, it's a must try.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter or visit our website to learn more about the stories you saw today. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.